tougher than the Messiah and dodgier accents than Bring It Life.
Couldn't wait to get back. Now we're here. It's just brilliant.
It's all right.
I've got a promotion. I can't remember what it is, but I know I'm the same as Jack Clough anyway. Method.
It's very hot. It's a very hot day today. That's what people don't remember when they watch these things.
Bigger, better, faster, stronger. Clough.
When we did Cloth 1, we were looking at shows like Messiah and Wire in the Blood, which were dark, bleak detective serials. For this, I guess the influences were things like movies, quite a few films actually, things like Heat and The Town, sort of, high-octane heist, bank robbery dramas. Shows like Murphy's Law, which is like, undercover shenanigans every week.
There was a film that Charlie had loved as a teenager called Stone Cold that you can see on YouTube. It's appalling and brilliant. If you're about 13, it'll be the best film you'd ever seen, because it's full of those lunatic Hell's Angel biker gangs who... this idea of a lawless sort of Mad Max subculture that they love in America. And then we found we couldn't find one of those in British culture. It doesn't exist. The gangs are very different. So we were trying to get something which would have all those cliches and the things you love about a bunch of tough guys riding to town and just pump shotguns into the air and go, woohoo! But that doesn't happen in Britain. So we were trying to sort of bolt that on. And eventually we said the equivalent would be a proper sort of East End crime gang who operated above the law.
I want to see what you have under here.
There's two things that always happen. One is he going to be found out?
What is this?
Or two, is he going to go to the dark side? Is he going to forget which side he's on?
Don't forget which side you're on.
I'm not on a side. I'm on the edge, and edges don't have sides.
They're always on. There's always a story about somebody going undercover and forgetting which side he's on. There's probably been an episode of that in every drama serial you care to mention, even ones set in a garden centre. I don't know what I'm talking about. Probably is. There's probably a drama set in a garden centre. Why isn't there a drama set in a garden, like a precinct drama set in a garden centre? It's like Holby City or something like that, but set in the world of garden centres. Why haven't they done that? Just because it'd be boring.
I think they've moved on from the classic gentle Frosts and Lewis type cop genres into what everybody's watching, more of the sort of the Nordic noir, they call it, don't they? The European dramas. And it's more film based as well. We've got bigger set pieces with the bank robberies, Point Break style undercover work, So I'm lampooning Keanu Reeves in this one. Not quite.
If they find out you're police, they'll shoot you in the head.
So what?
Or cut your throat open and pull your tongue through the hole so it flops around like a necktie.
Nothing I can't handle.
Or drive you to Swanage and just leave you there.
I love Swanage. I got to face your hair this time. I wanted it for the first step, but they said no. And then negotiations went quite a while to come back, and the facial hair's come, which is good.
Yeah.
It makes you colder and taller.
And there's no need for so many lines.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can have the facial hair, but your part's going to halve.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah, it's good. I said yes, please.
Touch of Cloth is unlike anything that I've ever directed. I think it's unlike anything I've ever seen, really. Obviously it has antecedents in the likes of Aeroplane and The Naked Gun and those kind of things, but I felt we wanted to do something different to the kind of things that they did in those films. In a sense, we wanted to play it even straighter.
Oh, it's brilliant to be back because Jim is back, who was just fantastic, and obviously the boys. But this time it feels a little bit more like I've got 3 older brothers.
We try and make Saran laugh, and we try and irritate her a lot. We try and get her a bit stroppy, but it doesn't work. She doesn't get stroppy, which is a shame.
She gets stroppy with you, but not so much
stroppy, a little bit stroppy with me, yeah.
They just pick on me, and they take the piss out of me relentlessly. Yeah. I have got brothers, so I'm used to it, but... Jeez.
452, take 3, A and B.
Oh, God!
Sorry, sorry.
Ow.
I think in this one we're more confident that what we're doing actually works. We found a sort of line that parodies the cop shows, but also we found our own unbelievable, believable world, if you like. It's ridiculous, it's nonsense, it's surreal and absurd, but we know that there is a bizarre line that we work within, so we understand it more, we're a bit more confident about what we're doing, hence it is bigger in scale.
I think last time as well, me and John after every take would go, was that right? Are we doing enough? Because you kind of want to be funny and you want to try something and you keep saying to Jim, what if we did a look there, or did, and Jim kind of goes, no, don't do it, just play the lines.
He's just going to look off the side.
So I kept saying to the actors, you've got to imagine this is the darkest, most serious, most menacing, BAFTA-winning drama you could possibly imagine, and that's what we must believe we're making, and that's what you as actors must believe you're acting in, and we must be looking around as people laugh, going, why is everyone laughing? What's so funny? We're doing really serious work here. This is the kind of thing that Shakespeare would have been writing today if he was alive. This is the human condition in all its gory, complex, messy, gruesome awfulness. That's what we're writing about. That's what we're telling stories about. So we try to bring that tone into absolutely every scene.
It was quite amusing that when the first cloth went out, some people still didn't understand that it was a spoof for about 5 minutes. You know, some people would sit there and start watching it and think, well, this is weird. There's a character who's turned up who's a cardboard cutout. And there's a dog in the corner of the interview room. I don't understand. I don't know what level of mind you'd have to not understand that this was a spoof.
You're not a cop, you're a criminal. In there it's dog eat dog, it's a cat house, a horse fight, a cow poke.
I always like to say to actors, I take ideas from anywhere, but a lot of their ideas I just had to keep stamping on, saying, no, it's just about playing it straight, it's just about being blinkered, walking up the corridor with a serious look on your face, and speaking Charlie's nonsensical, ludicrous lines, but as if they are sort of Chekhov.
Okay, we do that one again, the last one again. So, right, last one. Come on.
Nick Knowles is standing inside this costume right now with an absolutely whopping... Sorry.
There are times when everyone's trying to maybe have a cheeky little giggle and lift it slightly, but you know, you're sort of flattened down. Apart from Julian, he gets away with it. Julian
he gets away with it, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to speak to him about asking him this question.
He's doing his own stand-up show.
I also suggest you watch me leave grandly. It's over. Finito. What the Norwegians call finitos. And if I get so much of a whiff that you're still pursuing this, I shall find the staff rota and have you cut from the same.
But
cut from the same cloth.
the biggest question, which went round for a long time, was how the fuck do you bring Tom Boss back into this? Because he's killed 13 people or something, including Kate Cloth. And I think to begin with, we assumed he wasn't in there, that he was going to be in prison. And that Cloth would have to visit him in prison to ask him some advice about something or other, and then there'd be a very crackling, tense scene there. And then Annabelle, I think, said, you know what, everyone loves Julian's performance, we've got to get Boss back into this. Find a way of getting him back in.
What about the rumours regarding your leadership?
What rumours?
That no one trusts you, since that string of baroque revenge killings you carried out last year?
There was a full inquiry, I apologised, and I went on a rehabilitation course. So as far as everyone is concerned, that is the end of the matter.
And action! This is me going in to meet the Mr. Big. It's his club, which is in the back of the card game, which is in the back of the scrapyard. It's all of those things that we've seen, you know.
With lap dancing girls and poker tables, everything you want, really, in a nightclub in a scrapyard.
And I'm sat in the back of the car.
He's sat in the back of the car with no lines.
The nightclub sequence was a tricky sequence to do because it's a sequence that appears in every single undercover cop show or film that you've ever seen, you know, from Murphy's Law to Donnie Brasco to whatever you've watched, that always seems to be scenes in nightclub between the new undercover cop, our hero, and the kind of evil, cool, suave, ruthless boss, in our case played by Stephen Delane.
There's quite a lot of scenes in this where Cloth is facing off with a hard man. That's a real staple of crime dramas. It's the things where everyone's facing off and nobody can display any sense of humour at all except a cruel and gruff one. It seems that if you're an undercover cop, in everything that I watched, the key is apparently to go in and just be really cocky, like outrageously cocky and rude to everyone and act very high status and just walk in and go, "Yeah, what the fuck? Who the fuck are you?"
Next place, if you're into shit.
He's going to overcock.
What's nice about doing Cloth is that you kind of, normally as a writer, you're trying to avoid the cliche, and Cloth you kind of run towards it screaming.
Similarly, when it came to the kind of pole dancers, they are such a cliche of, you know, everything from The Sopranos onwards. You felt like they've got to be in there, but how do we not make them just sort of in there for titillation or being in any way gratuitous? We kind of came up with the idea of having them there in the background, but having them doing kind of slightly ludicrous dances. So at one point you'll see them river dancing, and that was definitely a first for me, to direct topless river dancers for an afternoon.
Almost like swimming.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun, and they were very game and up for it. And, you know, having been in the back of these scenes a million times, just doing sort of pole dancing, I think they quite enjoyed that we did another scene where they had to do sort of mimes, and they came up with their own mimes. So you'll see one of them doing kind of fishing, doing that mime, and then another one doing the old Marcel.
This one has a lot more sexual lines. Think your clam is ready? And it's absolutely steaming. Whatever Charlie's been doing, he's definitely got a bit more sexual. I think I'll leave it there.
The tricky thing about picking a favourite moment for Touch of the Cloth is that there are so many. One of my favourites from Cloth 2 is the moment where ASAP says to Cloth in the incident room,
It's against all established rules of narrative.
I don't have time for rules of narrative.
But in terms of continuity...
Forget continuity. Sometimes you've got to break the law to protect the law. I'll steal that heroin before it exists if I have to. And there's not a damn thing you can do to stop me.
You forget
it's just a great continuity joke. It makes me laugh my head off every time.
There's a joke I like that I hope people get, which is there's a convention, I think, in not just crime dramas by any stretch of the imagination, but all dramas ever. It's a scene you recognise, which is it's the morning after a love scene. Sunlight is streaming in through the windows. One of your main female characters, usually played by a well-known actress, basically gets out of the bed and leaves the bedroom. And it's only there, must only be there, to show you her bum. Basically, it's there so that you get a bit of titillation. It's like, oh, there's her back, or sort of her naked back as she pulls on, you know, a sort of silky top. So we've got a scene that's explicitly mocking that convention.
Yeah, my favourite moment got cut. It was McCratchy's line to Cloth after Cloth has kind of been in and fronted him out.
I like it, Jack. You're not like these other...
Yeah, that went.
Can't think why.
This is going to take every ounce of spunk you can muster, Des. If you come, I'll expect you to cover my back. And I mean completely cover it.
I'd jog it for breakfast, Gov.
Okay? There's a lot of, like, real, almost intelligent toilet humour in it, but on second, third viewings, you know, I think people will be rewarded by seeing little quirky things in the background and posters, as we did in the first one, which, as I say, are there for the second viewing.
The art department, the work they put in, they work round the clock. I think it's one of those shows you are hopefully going to want to come back to and watch again, because there's so much going on in the background that you probably won't catch the first time when you're watching the story, and sort of more joys to be uncovered just by watching it again. I'm absolutely gobsmacked by the amount of detail they throw into it.
Every poster, you know, you sort of look at it and you go, that is just some bog standard bank advertising, and if you read the slogans, everything is really well crafted.
I think the background gags actually had their own art department, which was bigger than the art department doing the sets in the end. It really did get out of hand. I guess what was quite enjoyable about it was not having to be too original. Actually just to maybe see what had gone before and not worry about coming up with new ways of doing things, which I think is often the case with everything else that you work on. Just copying stuff, really. I think my favourite day on the shoot was the telethon. I just kind of love those days when we had something like 100 extras in to be the audience at the telethon. We had a fantastic fight sequence between Saran and Anna Chancellor as Good Girl, which ended in the totalizer coming down and crushing Good Girl. We had the fantastic Rufus Hound and Connie Hook introducing, and it was great, you know, having real presenters who'd really done it rather than casting actors. It was fantastic to have people who really knew their way around a teleprompter.
You might be thinking helping blameless children is a worthy cause, but in reality, you couldn't be more wrong or indeed more stupid.
Yeah, because most of the kids we've shown you are simply making their symptoms up. In fact, the only thing they're suffering from is acute lying syndrome.
And remember, every child you've seen tonight is a Holocaust denier.
What we did was we recorded a couple of different versions with different dialogue options.
So, standing inside this costume right now, there's a convicted paedophile with an erection, and the more you pledge, the bigger it gets.
So, for God's sake, stop pledging money, you terrible idiots.
In the story, what happens is that the auto cue is changed by Des, and they just blithely read out whatever's on it. That's what we actually did, was just threw it at them.
In every show that I do, live or not, I like to just take a 3-minute dance break. The worst thing about it is, I'm up there and I'm thinking,
what you can't do is do anything David Brent did.
Yeah,
Do
that's...
you know what I mean? So I'm not only thinking about what moves I've got, I'm thinking about what moves have already been done in a sort of comedy dance
isn't
setting.
It's not as easy as it looks.
Hi everyone. Still having the time of our lives, I see. We'll about to log on to the old guest Wi-Fi access. Got a cup of tea and a branded cup. You know, a lot of people said when I left Celebrity Juice it would all be downhill, but look at me now, Daddy. Look at me now. That's coffee. I'm allergic to coffee.
By the end of this particular tale, it's gone quite big. It felt like you needed a big finale. Yeah, it turns into a ticking bomb sort of thriller by the end, and you've got a charity telethon that may or may not be destroyed by a nuclear device.
I think that the moment that you put Brooker at the helm of a telethon, you're expecting something really unpleasant, aren't you, by the end of it? And God bless him, the man delivers.
I offer you love and boundless power, and you toss it all away. For what? A man called Cloth?
Yes.
Well, I hope it was worth it.
Cloth 3 is coming, and in a way, our watchword there was almost back to basics. We're sort of back more in the realm of murder mystery, but Cloth is investigating a case that's hit very close to home, you might say. Well, you would say, if you'd seen it, because that is what happens in it.
It has the scale of Cloth 2, and it has the precinct elements are very much to the fore, as was the case in Cloth 1. But in Cloth 3, things get personaler, as Jack says, and people close to him start getting bumped off, which I believe were probably the first detective drama series ever to have gone down that route.
Something that they quite often do in crime shows is bring in a new member of the team through whose eyes you can see the goings-on and sort of be reacquainted with the characters. So we've got a new member of the team joins in the third one. Karen Gillan comes in to inject some new blood into things, and she's playing a character called Kerry Newblood, continuing with our tradition of having brilliant character names.
Oh, for God's sake.
Sorry.
Why aren't these stapled together? You could have killed someone.
Sorry, it's my first day.
And you're last if you don't watch your step. Who's your CEO?
Jack Cloth, just my luck.
Why do you say that? What do you know about him?
Well, I've heard the stories. They say that he's got demons, that he's washed up, he's off the rails.
What, a genius?
No, they don't say that.
What else do they say about him?
Well, they say he's the sort of man who'll embarrass you by getting you to tell him what other people have said about him and then revealing he's actually him.
Do they now?
Not now, but then at the time they said it, that's what they said.
Well, I'm D.I. Jack Cloth. And you are?
Kerry Newblood. Just Kerry Newblood.
Well, Kerry Newblood, just Kerry Newblood. Why don't you show me what you can do with a door?
And we get to meet some of Cloth's extended family, which is quite a lot of fun. We meet his brother Terry, and we meet various other characters. Without wanting to give too much away, we get a little insight into Cloth's past, which again is a sort of cliche of these detective drama series, particularly as they go on and you start running out of things to do and stories to tell. You know, an obvious and easy thing to do is to make it personal, and therefore the stakes are, you know, organically higher.
Cloth finds himself embroiled in a case that not just is hitting close to home, but also leads him to have to question his own personal history and his life, and his relationship with old man, who has been hitting the bottle and is in a fairly broken place as we start the third one, which felt like, again, a trope we've seen. Things like Prime Suspect, Cracker, they were assailed by demons and battling personal vices all the time. So it seemed about time we gave one of our characters a substance abuse problem. So that's what we did. Hopefully we get away with it. And if we don't, well, you know, sod you. You've watched the rest of it, so you'll have to sit through the ending.
We've got an A-grade opportunity for you to look behind the scenes at Harrow. The very British school is open for a new term this Wednesday at 8. Up next on Sky 1 HD though, Catch Up with Chickens.